Hey guys, it's Dark Souls Remastered, the game that, Jesus, it's probably my most requested game in the history of the channel, which is weird. I think it was in part due to the hype of just the original announcement and people injecting their own meaning at the moment of what they thought a remaster might mean, but ultimately it's just the same game running a bit better and looking a little sharper and stuff like that on the same platform. So here I am on PC, same place as the Prepare to Die edition. I bet Blighttown runs better, I suppose. In fact, as news came out about this over time, I kept getting more and more disappointed to the point where I was like, maybe I just won't even cover it. Like, why bother, right? But I figure this is a decent enough example. I mean, excuse, not example. Excuse to do my Dark Souls 4 years later run, because earlier this year we played Demon Souls for the first time since the beginning of the channel. So I played both games when they were new, but then this channel started doing solo videos in 2013, and I did a run of Demon Souls and Dark Souls back to back right at the beginning. But then, as they were coming out, I played Dark Souls 2 twice, Dark Souls 2 Call of the First Sin twice, Bloodborne like 1.5 times, Dark Souls 3 twice, and Salt and Sanctuary, and a bunch of other Souls-like type things too, and Neo, and not recently The Surge, or actually right now The Surge, more technically. And so I'm like, sure, let's finally do my Return to Dark Souls run like I did earlier this year with Demon Souls. And in both cases, it's a chance to replay the games now that I'm significantly more experienced with them than I was at the beginning, both in both at doing solo Let's Plays and playing these two games in particular. It might be a little bit less explorative than you're used to for me playing these games, just because I am relatively familiar with a lot of this stuff. It's still worth exploring because we can pick up items that are worth grabbing, but I might not dig into every single nook and cranny ever just because I kind of know it's there usually. But hey, we might come back later this year or next year or something to play one of those mods that reshuffles the game. I've been looking into those, and those have actually caught my interest. One of them is called Prepare to Die Again. There's a few other ones I think that I just don't know as much about, but we'll see. They actually put you through all of your settings. I pre-customized everything, but they actually put you through all the settings while you hit new game. That's interesting. Gotta pick our starting class. What are we gonna do with our brand new character? I don't know. My only real rule here, I don't really know what I'm gonna do going into this necessarily, but my one rule, more or less, is I don't want my gift to be the Master's Key. That'll be with the one thing that'll be new-ish for me, is that I pretty much always pick Master's Key in the past. And while it's clearly better than most other items, it's just kind of a bummer, because it does break the order in which you can play parts of the game, and makes me not even learn what some of the keys even mean and do, because I could just open them the whole time, so who cares, right? I'll probably just go with the Tiny Being Ring. It's a start off with a ring in a game where you usually don't have a ring. Oh my goodness, I'm losing track of where my D-pad is. Dare I just dive into, like, Pyromancer or something, kind of blindly? I don't necessarily have a plan. Screw it, why not, right? I can always just default to punching people if the Pyromancer plan doesn't go through. So things are pretty much as we were previously aware. Still kind of amazed that this is the list of hairstyles you can go with in this game. That's like the grand total of what they offer. Hey, I'm Leon Kennedy. Delta Farmer? Astora Noble. It really is remarkable how little this game has actually changed, isn't it? He just looks happy, doesn't he? I like that guy. Look at Mr. Happy Guy with the red hair. He seems neat. He seems like the trustworthy, drunk anime character. That's basically everything. I could go into the super detailed customization, but that's not entirely necessary. Keikaku. No. I'm not going for Keikaku. Jesus. I don't really have a name prepped. Oh, here's an idea. Mimeo. I literally was looking up remaster and trying to find synonyms and stuff like that, and I've learned a new word, mimeo, short for mimeograph. A mimeograph being a duplicating machine that produces copies from a stencil, now superseded by the photocopier. So it's like an outdated copy word, essentially, which is fitting enough for my remaster. Oopsie. I somehow lost it. Mimeo. And then how do I leave that? Confirm. Enter. There we go. I was like, how do I leave that field without it canceling? Let's go for it.
In the age of ancients, the world was unformed, shrouded by fog. A land of grey crags, arch trees, and everlasting dragons. But then there was fire, and with fire came disparity. Heat and cold, life and death, and of course, light and dark. Then from the dark they came and found the souls of lords within the flame. Nito, the first of the dead. The Witch of Izalith and her daughters of Chaos. Gwyn, the Lord of Sunlight, and his faithful knights. And the furtive pygmy, so easily forgotten. With the strength of lords, they challenged the dragons. Gwyn's mighty bolts peeled apart their stone scales. The witches weaved great firestorms. Nito unleashed a miasma of death and disease. And Seath the Scaleless betrayed his own, and the dragons were no more. Thus began the Age of Fire. But soon the flames will fade, and only dark will remain. Even now, there are only embers. And man sees not light, but only endless nights. And amongst the living are seen carriers of the accursed dark sign. Yes, indeed. The dark sign brands the undead. And in this land, the undead are corralled and led to the north. where they are locked away to await the end of the world. This is your fate.
I don't think I've ever noticed that the little mouse in the window is like a scabby mouse, but it's a shrunk down version of the one. Well, it's a rat, but it's a shrunk down version of the ones from the rest of the game, even with like the massive chunks missing out of them, and then the gross, and the mohawk on its back. Yeah, it's a bit of a surprise, isn't it? Isn't that a rat? That's like a generic rat corpse that looks like more like what you'd expect them to be, except huge. But the one that was in the window that was animated was like the ones from the rest of the game that have the freaking, what is it? They have, like a mohawk and everything like that. Like, it's weird. Hey, buddy. It is running really nicely. That is a change. Hey there. We'll get to you one day. One day. I don't remember if you could hear him that clearly before. Or it might just be that now that I know he's about that boss, I'm just sitting here like knowing to look for him. Could be the thing. Hey little guy. You doing alright? He's fine. Everything's fine. This is going to be interesting, trying to get back in the swing of things, because each Dark Souls game kept getting smoother and faster and more reactive and faster paced and aggressive, especially after Bloodborne. But I believe they haven't changed anything about the actual combat speed and movement. That's going to be interesting to go back to. See if I can adapt. I made a point to specifically beat the Surge before this game came out, just because I didn't want to have my wires crossed on the timing of those two different games with their identical control schemes. Hey there. How you doing? Whoop. Oh, this will take an eternity. This will take an actual eternity. Right, this is why people bring... Right, I remember now. That's why people bring bombs with them, isn't it? When they spawn their character, because otherwise... Holy crap, that's a long fight. The broken short sword is just that not useful. Yeah, I'd rather not. I think it's actually less reasonable in that situation than it is in Demon Souls. I think you do more damage in Demon Souls at the beginning. I'm fairly certain of that, yeah. I think you do significantly more damage. Oopsie. Whoops. Mixed up what left and right hand shows up as on the screen. Oh, he runs off the moment you equip the shield. He must be scripted to be specifically tied to when you equip it, as opposed to details of, like, you actually approaching him and stuff. Hey, buddy. I kind of wish this kind of more tactical behavior was actually in the game more. I don't think your enemies really tend to behave that way, despite the tutorial kind of setting it up like it's a premise that you should be looking out for. Those fog doors look different. There's the item you can't get till way later. So this is probably my 4th time through the game over the years, but I think it's my first time playing the game with me holding the controller and everything since 2013. You want blind reactions, you have to deal with me. Oh crap. I forgot that it freaking curves. If you want my blind reactions, you have to watch really awful videos from 2011 with me and Andrew, and they are not worth going back to. Dark Souls was the first video game I ever Let's Played for more than like a one-off episode.
Oh, you. You're no hollow. Hmm? Thank goodness. I'm done for, I'm afraid. I'll die soon, then lose my sanity. I wish to ask something of you. You and I, we're both undead. Hear me out, will you? Regrettably, I have failed in my mission, but perhaps you can keep the torch lit. There is an old saying in my family, "Thou who art undead art chosen, and thine exodus from the undead asylum maketh pilgrimage to the land of ancient lords. When thou ringeth the bell of awakening, the fate of the undead thou shalt know." Well, now you know. And I can die with hope in my heart. Oh, one more thing. Here, take this. An Estus flask. An undead favorite. Oh, and this. Now I must bid farewell. I would hate to harm you after death. So go now, and thank you. Now I must bid farewell. I would hate to harm you after death. So go now, and thank you.
You see the exact... Oh, he dies right when you're out of sight, doesn't he? I wanted to see if I could catch him from around the corner. So there's tons of Zelda comparisons to make in general with Dark Souls, just non-stop. From the many design philosophies down to the, like, always on-screen control elements, but even... There's little not... In particular, like, there's that, the Sunken Keep? Is that what it's called? The second DLC of Dark Souls 2 is, like, direct homage to many Zelda elements out of the... Like, going out of their way. And along that line of thinking, I can't help but notice a game with a dying character that entrusts you with an item you need in order to do your journey, and telling you to go on your mission, and also saying, take this. Which one was it? It was A Link to the Past, the one where you have the, like the dying father figure, or a literal father? Hey there. How you doing? Buddy? Buddy? Oh yeah? I should test the rolling. Oh, yeah. Okay. That's something to get used to. You can't roll diagonally. So you can roll all the way left, all the way right, or forward and backwards. Yeah, that's one of those things that I wasn't fully aware of it at the time. And when we upgraded to the later games, where you could roll diagonally or just whatever direction you put the joystick in, basically, it just didn't even occur to me. Like, people had to point it out retroactively. I was like, ah, huh, I didn't even notice that. But now that we're going backwards, I'm going to be very aware of the fact that, yes, I cannot roll diagonally. That affects evasion in a big way. No angled dodges to go behind somebody going on here. Hey, buddy. Hey! You're fine. You're fine. Just shrug it off, right? buddy. Oopsie. Woohoo! I just want to slam that gooch. It is a really concerning, like, oh my god, the butt jiggle. That's significant. And it's just like a weird demon gut ball sack shape. I think that is just his gut, but from behind, you can't think of much else. I think there was once a time where it took hours to get that far. Just has a hell of a learning curve if you're not ready for it. How do I always get turned around like that? It's kind of incredible how much I always forget that the direction, the open door is the way backwards, not forward. You can very, very clearly hear him walking around. It's one of those things that's on a spectrum of, like, I don't know where to put it. Like, is it something I just never noticed and I'm only noticing now because I know what to look for? Or is it something that I just... Or is it something that I noticed at the time but didn't know how to categorize it and just kind of forgot retroactively that I ever noticed it? Because there's the nest. Yeah, the idea of that is just unfamiliar. Him walking around and being so blatantly, like that enemy just so blatantly being there at the beginning of the game. I don't think there's anything lying around here.
Only in the ancient legends it is stated that one day an undead shall be chosen. To leave the undead asylum in pilgrimage to the land of the ancient lords. Lordran.
You go past that giant wall up there, and anyone who played Demon Souls will be like, oh, I'm gonna have to run along that wall, and there's gonna be a dragon attacking me, and you never go up there. Not a single time. Not even a single time. So I have magic attuned. They did give me a pyromancy flame. Was that there a moment ago? I might have picked it up along the way. The longsword and pyromancy, oh, I don't have the stats required for it. That's probably why its attack values are equal. That's fine. I've got some fireballs to throw around. Just a handful, though. There's no MP system in this game. You gotta deal with, like, some old-fashioned D&D spells per day. Ooh. There's something lying over here. Yeah, there we are. Those could come in handy. As will the spike from 5 Estus to 10. This is a bright orange. It's really bright.
Well, what do we have here? You must be a new arrival. Let me guess. Fate of the undead, right? Well, you're not the first. But there's no salvation here. You'd have done better to rot in the undead asylum. But too late now. Well, since you're here, let me help you out. There are actually 2 bells of awakening. One's up above in the undead church. The other is far, far below, in the ruins at the base of Blight Town. Ring them both, and something happens. Brilliant, right? Not much to go on. But I have a feeling that won't stop you. So, off you go. It is why you came, isn't it? To this accursed land of the undead?
Just wanted to pay a visit to her this early on. In the early days, it would literally take her death for me to even realize she was down there in the first place. So locked away.
Ah, your face. You're practically hollow. But who knows? Going hollow could solve quite a bit. What? Restoring your humanity? Well, there are a few ways to go about it. Collected bit by bit from corpses. Or you can butter up a cleric and get yourself summoned. And the quickest way, although I'd never do it, is to kill a healthy undead and pillage its humanity. Coveting thy neighbor is only human, after all. What are you looking at? Don't try anything clever. You might regret it. What? You want to hear more? Oh, that's all we need. Another inquisitive soul. Well, listen carefully then. One of the bells is up above in the undead church, but the lift is broken. You'll have to climb the stairs up the ruins and access the undead burg through the waterway. The other bell is back down below the undead burg, within the plague-infested Blight Town. But I'd die again before I step foot in that cesspool. Bloody hell, what is it now? You ask too many questions.
He's actually tired of me.
What now? I'm not up for chatting. Leave me alone.
Never. Never. Oh. Runs out of stuff. I'm trying to judge this. I'm trying to judge this and look around a little bit here, because it's interesting to look around. So, I was one of those people who did not figure out the right way to go for the longest time. And it is right there. But it's also like not obvious. Like this is like a normal camera angle. You walk up to this guy to talk to this guy because he's right here, and there's a staircase right here. So that's really obvious and visible. But if you don't see that, there's also a staircase going up here, and at eye level there's a doorway. And you'd go up through here, and like, oh look, 2 doorways. Maybe I'll try this one. But you go up through here, and it's a dead end, because it ultimately dead ends at this lift that's broken, as he explained. So you can't take the lift. Hey, item. I'm doing a bit of exploring and kind of trying to recreate steps of what a new player deals with a little bit, just trying to think about this stuff. It's an age-old question, is whether or not people think this starting zone is well designed or not. Then you go through here, like, oh, here's the other obvious door. Let's check this out. Hello, weird lake. Oh, cool. I don't drown or die, or there's no magic invisible wall blocking me from walking into it. Look at that. And you might notice, hey, there's a side path. Oh, look. This goes somewhere. And then maybe you'd be interested in going through that zone, which is also wrong. Just like how going down the staircase is wrong. The guy even says, he even suggests going above or below. Knowing how the area is laid out, it is interesting to know just how small and how nearby the two bells are to where you start, if only the two things weren't broken. Like, that lift takes you right to the cathedral, or whatever, the chapel, and upstairs from that is the gargoyle boss, and up the ladder from the gargoyle boss is the Bell of Awakening that's above the ground. In the opposite direction, if you go down those stairs I looked at, and open a gate that you can only open with a certain key or with the master key, then go down through the Blight Tent a little bit, the short way at that, you'll get to Quelaag and the other bell. They're actually shockingly close nearby. It's just one of them you can only get to Quelaag early with the master key, I believe. And you straight up can't get to the other one early unless there's some sort of weird speedrun glitch that I haven't heard about, which there probably is. But like, it's a really condensed map, and I think that's what people compliment a lot about the maps in these games. Unfortunately, after the Lord Vessel, that just stops happening, and people who compliment the level design and the interconnectedness in particular are really being selective about which part of the game they talk about.
Hello there. I believe we are not acquainted. I am Petrus of Thurland. Have you business with us? If not, I'd prefer to keep a distance, if possible. Hello there. I realize that I have requested that we retain our distance, but I also want you to know that it is not meant in ill will. Here, take this, as a token of peace. No, go ahead. It's for you. Oh my, you again. Oh, I know. How about this? I have to await my companions here anyway. So what if I were to teach you some miracles? Would that please you? Very well. Then first, a covenant with the gods. That is a shame, but each to their own. Speak to me if you have a change of heart.
It spikes very abruptly from, hey, copper coin, to I'll teach you literal miracles. No joke. But you just gotta pledge yourself. And this is Dark Souls 1, where leaving a covenant actually has consequences usually. And I don't have the spreadsheet in front of me that explains which consequences apply to which covenant, so I'm gonna just avoid it for the moment. But yeah, my original experience was to deal with the horrible skeleton graveyard first. Then I went down into New Londo and fought ghosts for the longest time, which is not great. Then several hours in, I was like, hey look, a weird staircase that goes up this way. Maybe this is where you're supposed to go. Spoilers, it's where you're supposed to go. Oh. Hey there. You want some? You come in here because you want some? Anyone else? Yeah? Mr. Firebomb up there? He's got range. He's rather rude, frankly. Hey there. Heavy attacks. Please don't burn me with your fire bombs. Yep. I have fire bombs of my own, you know. I'm just being a little conservative with them due to having 8. This is actually the time to try to use one. Yeah! That's crowd control. I was hoping to kick him off the ledge when I saw the opportunity, but the delay didn't pan out. Not quite. But you have to be selective with spellcasting in this kind of game. Use it on the enemies that are particularly dangerous or positioned in a way to cause you major problems, or crowds. Things like that. Can't just go use them on the first 8 enemies you see. Although this first stint actually might have few enough enemies to justify that. I'll probably play with some spellcasting, just because I'm so used to doing runs that have no summoning and no spellcasting and so on. This will probably be a no summoning run. In part because there's still, I did summon in my original playthrough way back in the day. That was actually closer than I wanted it to be. Hey buddy, how you doing? Yeah? Alright. It was nice of you to give it a shot. I'll give you that. You were very brave? Hello. I see you down there. Hey there. Stop that. You cut that out. It's very rude. Let's see if I probably still suck at parrying. Oh, your timing is so slow. Oh my god, it is. Ow. Nope. Holy shit, I'm terrible at that. Yes! There you guys go. There's your one parry for the playthrough. It's a cool concept for the people that can pull it off consistently, but boy is it not worth the risk in like 90% of gameplay scenarios. Also, be forewarned if you haven't heard the news yet. There are already hackers in this game, and they don't. It's not just that they invade your game and are unfair and unbeatable, but they can straight up do things that they can wipe your save file and permanently change your character's stats. So be forewarned if you take the risk of buying the game. Though it is half price if you already own the previous version of it on PC. Hey there.